I'm Brandon Clark. This is my co-host Swall Hall, and today we're meeting on Uncommon Grounds. We've had quite the week, the quiet week in politics, which is surprising with this administration. So we're kind of reaching out, touching on a few cultural, social topics, some things also within the political realm. The first thing is the Turning Point halftime show. I'm sure everyone's heard of it. MAGA is pretty upset about Bad Bunny being the NFL's pick. So Charlie Kirk's wife is going to host her own one. We'll get into that and our thoughts. Then there is obviously the hostage swap. The peace deal was kind of signed last week. I think we discussed like the beginning of that. I believe, I don't remember actually exactly, but now that the hostages have been swapped, we're a little further along. We're going to discuss like going forward, the peace, is it going to last, everything like that. And then there's the Qatar base in Idaho that Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump have announced that even some on the right are upset with, some on the left. I feel like it's like that one's inverse. I see more people on the right critiquing that than the left. So we'll get into that and me and Swaz thoughts. And then we're going to end with a homework debate. We were joking before the episode. I'm playing the teacher's pet and I'm defending homework in this debate because I do think it's important. Swaz going to be the homework is an important side. So stick around for that. And let us know your thoughts in the comments. So starting with the Turning Point halftime show, I guess for those who live under a rock and haven't heard, Bad Baby was announced for the NFL halftime show.
Bad Bunny, not
Oh,
Bad Baby.
why? I think I said that. I said that
There would be
when I
some
was,
outrage about that too.
yeah, there would be a different kind of outrage if it was Bad Baby. Sorry, yeah, Bad Bunny. I don't know why I did that twice. Was announced. I think, just because he's like he's Hispanic, there's anger. He's from Puerto Rico though, so he's American. So I don't really get the outrage, but Turning Point took it upon themselves to come out and announce they're going to do an all-American halftime show. I don't, to my knowledge at least, I haven't followed it since the announcement. To my knowledge, they haven't said like who's going to perform there yet. Maybe Swan knows a bit more than I do. But yeah, Swan, what were your thoughts when you heard that?
Cringe. This is dumb. This is really stupid to me. Like in general, and I want to try to be as understanding as I can about uh this idea of trying to maintain an American culture. It's not something that I super relate to just because of the way that I was raised, the time on which I was raised. I don't really buy into this idea that there's some solidified American culture because like people say, kind of getting off track for a second, but I promise I'll bring it back. People say, oh, the immigrants or whatever, they need to come here and they need to assimilate. And I keep pushing people, what do you mean? Because you want them to assimilate with your exact views because we live in America. 50% of us are progressive, liberals, LGBT affirming, like,
Atheist. Well,
social
probably less than 50
programs.
atheists, but yeah.
Yeah, like, do you want them to assimilate to that? Because I don't think you do. But yet, those are natural born Americans who have those views. So is that not American culture? So I don't believe in some like monolithic, like, the only American culture to me is that we are okay living with multiple cultures. But apparently that's not American culture. So I don't know. But I think that this is silly that they're just trying to fight back against what, I guess, because Bad Bunny, as you said, is an American citizen. Um, we had our little back and forth on Facebook about it. I don't care that he's Hispanic. It has nothing to do with why I was surprised by the choice. I was just surprised because I just feel like there are people who I am surprised haven't gotten it. It was less surprised about him getting it and more surprised of like, oh, I can't believe we've passed up these other people. And so I don't have a problem with Bad Bunny doing the halftime show. I don't really care, to be honest. It's not that big a deal to me. I don't care about sports, but the fact that they want to try to do a rival one, like, I guess what is the point? Like, if they had said, maybe when we had like, I'm trying to think of some pop star who come out like scantily clad and they wanted to do an alternative one that was like family appropriate, like back then, like I would kind of understand that mentality. But like, I don't know. I'm not very familiar with Bad Bunny, but if I guess if he's going to be coming out with like a bunch of twerking girls and like all that, I could kind of understand.
So
When
the rage
but
that I heard, the biggest thing that I've heard people latching on to, and I'm sure you've seen as well, is oh, he said, and I think he said it jokingly. I mean I don't care if he said jokingly or not, but I do think it was like kind of said in a joke.
jest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
jest. I couldn't think of the word. But he said, I'm gonna come out and do the whole halftime show in Spanish, or you better learn Spanish if you're gonna watch my halftime show, or he said something of the sort. Does like
Who
does that
cares?
trigger you at all? Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
who cares? Like I do agree with this notion, like that generally speaking, we should probably have some sort of unified language as a country just for like practical reasons. I don't think we should force anybody to do anything, but like, I think it's okay that like the US government documents originally come out in English. Like I'm fine with English being like our language. I think countries need that. I think organizations need that. Um, but this idea like we just can't ever have anyone speak any other language. We can't do Spanish songs. Like a lot of white girls listen to Bad Bunny. Like this isn't like just going to appeal to Latino Americans. And even if it did, that's a large population of our country. So and then people have spoken on this. The NFL is trying to expand um multiculturally into other countries and stuff, and so they're trying to reach Latin America and like South
Yeah.
America and stuff with this move to have him perform. So me personally, like there's artists that I like more and artists that I think should have gotten it like 10 years ago who I'm like, come on, like can we ever give it to these guys? But like I don't know. I think this whole thing is silly. It just reminds me that because it's easy to get swept up in the emotion of Charlie's death, but it just kind of reminds me that I was not really a turning point guy before all of this stuff happened. And I'm being reminded daily that I'm still not really a turning point fan. They don't really stand for the same
I
things
mean,
that
I
I
do
do.
think it
So
is a great way to honor Charlie Kirk's legacy of who he was, to like just publicly signal that you're racist by doing something so insane that a Hispanic like speaking American is at the NFL show, and you're like, well, now we have to do our own. My thing is I also think it's I just hope that it doesn't gain traction. And like Trump doesn't like, pick up support for it and stuff,
yeah,
which is like my
tweet it
fear,
out.
because like we have a lot of like cities that depend on tourism, like our economy. Like it's not like it's like a big portion of like our national economy, but like in localities, certain cities like get millions of dollars, right? Tens of millions of dollars from tourism. And if we're going to be like treating even American like Hispanic people like this, I'm sure it's going to scare off people from coming here even legally and then spending their money, and that's just going to hurt us economically. So I really hope like Trump and them doesn't pick it up. That's kind of my fear. And I hope it just fails demonstrably and these people never try it again, because if this becomes like a yearly thing where they're trying to compete with the NFL, it's going to be really annoying. I did want to ask what's your predictions for who you think they'll have perform? I want to lock my first round draft pick. I would bet any amount of money they have Morgan Wallen as one of the headliners.
I really hope they don't. I
I
really
would
hope they don't.
I would bet
Um,
any amount of money that Morgan Wallen will perform.
so one thing will be who's willing to do it because anybody in like the pop sphere,
Yeah.
there's gonna be like I mean this is just gonna create beef. Like I mean, you imagine your I guess like Jelly Roll or something, and you get selected for this, and then you ever gonna talk to Bad Bunny? Like you know what I mean? Like so there's gonna be some issues there with who's gonna be willing to do this. But I could see like what is his name? Tom McDonald, I think.
Oh
Like the
yeah, yeah.
cringe rapper dude with Ben
That's a
Shapiro.
good one
Like
too.
I could see it being like that, but then at the same time, I could see half the conservatives being like, "This is still degenerate trash, like it's rap."
Yeah.
So I don't know. I've seen some people recommend like some guys who do like the national anthem.
Hmm.
Like I'm like the most like 80-year-old dudes. I'm like, is that what you guys want? Like that is so boring and lame. I don't know. So I don't really have a prediction because I don't really know who's accepted in the conservative
Well,
camp in pop music.
I'm pretty sure Morgan Wallen has said the N word twice, and he does country music. So like
Yeah.
he's got to be like a saint to them. Like he's got to be their
It
favorite.
just depends. That's the weird thing about the conservative is like it's I spend obviously a lot of time in like the Twitter and the comments of these types of things, and so it's very the party's very split. Like the Catholics and like the high church Christians do like not agree with the evangelical low church, any of like the influencer women on the right, like they don't even want women to be doing that type of thing, so they don't even like those type of commentators. Any of them that post like the American flag bikinis, like they hate that stuff, and so they think like when Hulk Hogan, remember when he like ripped his shirt,
Yeah.
like my part of Twitter like went to town, destroying, roasting him, thought that it was an absolute disgrace. So like half the conservatives don't like that stuff like at all. They think it's all degenerate. But then like
The
the
other half are huge fans.
then you've got like the MAGAite maniacs who are pretty evangelical, Westboro Baptist kind of vibes. They don't seem to care, and those seem to be like the Morgan Wallen types. So I don't really know. It's going to be interesting to see what they come up with. But yeah, this
Yeah,
is
could
silly
be
to me.
anybody, could be anything. Yeah, who knows? Moving on, I guess, to the Middle East, Israel, Palestine. I like I said, I think we talked about it last week. I get this mixed up with my channel. We talked about it for sure on my channel. There's the 20-point peace plan Trump announced. There was tentative agreements in quotations. They agreed to do the hostage swaps, which is where we're at. Israel has released 2,000, roughly 2,000 Palestinian hostages. Or Hamas has released they've released the last 20 living hostages. And I think it's like, I don't remember the exact number, another 20 or so dead hostages, or like people like that of sorts that have died or something like that. I don't remember all the specifics. That kind of moves us on to the next part of the deal, which is where Hamas has to drop their arms and leave Gaza. Essentially, the problem with this going forward is the end of the deal necessitates Israel allow for steps towards a Palestinian state. Israel has already came out and said, hey, like, we're not going to allow a Palestinian state. I personally don't think Hamas is gonna like willingly just like move throughout the entirety of this deal without some sort of guarantees. So like I think that that'll be a big friction point. It's also worth noting that like Israel has already said they're only going to let 300 aid trucks in. That's half the amount that they agreed to in the deal. They agreed to let 600 in. They're already blocking the Rafah crossing as well. And then there's reports on the ground that 9 Palestinians have been shot by the IDF. This is within the last few days, like after this ceasefire has been signed. So like to me, I don't know. It seems shaky. I'm suspicious of how long this is going to hold up. Swal, where are you at, and kind of what are you hearing?
Yeah, well, first off, I mean, at least the majority of the fighting and killing has stopped. So praise God for that. Very happy to hear that there's a ceasefire. It's very, very good news. Even if it doesn't hold any break in the warmongering is good in my book. So I'm very happy about that. I watched a little bit of I don't know if it was like a dinner or press conference or really what it was, but with Trump and Netanyahu and the president of Israel and all of that, where Trump was saying he was calling him BB, and he was like, "I love this man, BB," and he was talking about telling the president not to or to pardon Netanyahu, which was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then he also said was something that caught my ear, and I was trying to do the math of like what is he talking about? He said that this was the end of a 3,000-year-old conflict, and that it's been 3,000 years in the making. And I was trying to do the math because I was like, wait, like 2,000 years ago was like Christ times, so like 1,000 years before that, like what's he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what he's trying to say is like they've made good on the promises of like Abraham. Maybe that's the best I can do. I'm not sure where he's getting this 3,000
It's
number
Trump.
from.
He just made it up.
Yeah,
Like,
like
let's
that's
just be
just.
real. He made it
um,
up.
but either way, obviously that fighting has been going on for a long, long time. So if this is peace, like actual peace, then like let's go. But like you, I have my doubts because, as we've seen just historically, these deals just seem to fall through, or even if they go through, not to be upheld fully. Um, and so I know that technically the plan bans annexation and displacement and all of that, but in practice, will that actually occur? Is the thing that we need to be concerned about. So I'm just glad that the hostages have been released, prisoners and stuff on both sides. Um, and I hope that this continues to trend in the right direction because obviously we don't want any more death and warring, and we just want people's human dignity to be respected. So
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's just it feels to me like Israel probably isn't going to be the best faith arbiter in this. It feels like Trump is probably more on Israel's side than Palestine's side. So I'm scared of how much pressure there's going to be to like actually keep them to the contents of the deal rather than like keep the optics good enough that Trump can get credit and then go for his Nobel Peace Prize or something like that. Because like I said, like Trump, the troops are pulling out to a buffer zone. So they're still somewhat still in the Gaza area. They're not obviously outside of like they're still within land that could be annexed, right? And like I said, the Rafah crossing is being blocked. They're limiting the amount of aid trucks that are going to come in. The reason they cited was like there was delay in getting the hostages back, but then as of just yesterday, Hamas released like 8 additional of like the corpses or whatever. So like I don't really get what they even mean by that and how that would justify them blocking 300 aid trucks when like famine, disease, and more is like starvation is all rampant in Gaza. And then, yeah, with 9 Palestinians being killed, I haven't seen Trump say anything about this. I haven't seen any White House statements about this, but it's being reported on the ground. So I would hope that Trump would be the first one to come out and play the strong man with someone like Netanyahu, the same way that he likes to do with like Ukraine and stuff.
yeah, like you said, it'll just be interesting to see if Israel upholds because they have a habit of continuing to push boundaries even when ink hasn't even dried yet, and they'll still be making moves as if they're not in talks to
Yeah.
stop everything. And so I just hope that America keeps them accountable and the greater um, world stage keeps them accountable. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see on this.
And I do want to be clear. I don't, it's not that I think like, Hamas is like the perfect arbiter, good faith in this. I think that they would, if given the chance, do a lot of the same things. I just think like, I mean, given the last 2 years of onslaught, they're rather decapacitated in their ability to like, be working behind the scenes and like scheming and doing the same
Right.
things to where like Israel could. I just hope, yeah, like Swal said, I hope that this leads towards lasting peace. It's weird to me. I don't know. I guess Swal, if you've seen this on your side, it's weird to me how MAGA is so like they've been so like dead set on praise Trump for this, like go to your knees and thank Trump. And it's like so weird, I guess, when you take in the totality of Trump's record on this, where like since January, over 20,000 Palestinians have died. It's not like this is like the end of the conflict yet, at least. It seems like you're kind of like jumping the gun and just like a ceasefire. And to me, like there's like almost like this like bloodthirst, like lust at like praise Trump. Like, are you seeing that in where your side of the conservative circle is?
Yeah, well, I think it's because of like the headlines and even the statements out of Trump's own mouth. Like I said, they're touting this as the end, like it's over, like there's nothing else
Yeah.
going on, like the war has ended. 100 either they'll depending on who's talking, either 100 years of fighting has ended, or 2,000 years, or 3,000 years, I guess.
Yeah.
And
It'll
so
be
they're
5,000 by
making it
next week.
seem like nobody else could have has been able to do it, but finally after decades and decades, or centuries and centuries, I guess, or millennia, it has come to an end. And so if you're just passing through on Facebook and you just read, 100-year war in Gaza finally ends under President Trump, of course you're going to be like, he's the goat. Like, of course,
Yeah.
but under further investigation of like, well, it's a ceasefire. There is a peace deal, but it's not fully like integrated yet, and there's still some deaths going on, and there's still some tensions. And like, once you read into it, then it's a little easier to get discouraged. But I think people just want it to be over,
Yeah.
and so they're kind of blindly just accepting it's over,
Yeah.
because it's easier than the true situation, I guess. So
But yeah, I mean, I hope nothing more than it is. But I guess to another relevant but separate type of story, Qatar, Pete Hegseth first announced this, Trump obviously as well. They announced, I think this was like 5 or 6 days ago, that a facility is going to be built in Idaho. It's going to be built at the Mountain Home Air Force Base, and it's going to be for the I might butcher this, the Qatari Emiri Air Force, something of the
Sounds right
sort.
to me.
Cool. Yeah, I was gonna say if I butchered that, I apologize. It's going to essentially hold Qatari F-15 jets. It's gonna have some of their pilots. They're gonna hold training. It's gonna be controlled by the U.S. Like it's not like gonna be like like Qatar is running it and like we're just here. It's ran by the U.S., but it will have like Qatari pilots and such and trainings going on. But it's like there's been some and it's been ambiguous in terms of what exactly it's going to be because there's been words like facility, there's been base, there's been like all these different like command centers, like all these different things that they've said when they're announcing it, and it's not very transparent, all of the details. So Swal, what have you heard? What are your thoughts kind of just coming from the conservative side when you hear something like this?
Yeah, I heard it was going to be basically for joint training and resource sharing. Obviously, like everyone else, this makes my ears perk up about foreign influence and national security risks. I don't know. I'm not a big military guy, so I don't know if this is like normal. If we have this with any other countries, or if any other countries have this with other countries, or if like this is like a common thing. But on the surface, to me, it seems very strange that we would like let them. I mean, I don't really know what our relationship with Qatar other than them giving us jets for our or Qatar princes giving jets to our president or whatever.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't really know what our relationship's like with them, to be honest. So I don't know if they were already an ally and this is just normal ally stuff, or if this is an attempt at them to become one of our allies. But I do think it's a bit strange that we would be like training like or not training, but allowing another military to train
Yeah.
when we might, come to blows with said military at some
So
point.
I don't know if there's like another base. Like I don't know. I think this would be the first of its sort like that. But I know that like we do some sort of like joint trainings with like the IDF. I think like it's our police. I don't even know if it's like military. I think like our police trains with them or like SWAT or
Right.
it's something of the sort. I don't remember the exact. So I know we do like to some extent do these kind of joint trainings with other countries. But I think this would be the first like we're gonna put a base here specifically for you. Like I kind of said at the beginning, I think from what I've seen, there's like a bit of an inverse. I've seen MAGA more upset at this
Oh yeah.
than at least I am. I personally think, in terms of like the Middle East situation, we need to normalize with a lot of these other countries more so than we are. Like we have a really strong alliance with Israel, but the problem is that we aren't nearly as close with any of the adversaries to Israel. So I think if we could like normalize relations with these countries, that could be a way to like bridge the gap. Like like the friend of my friend is going to be your friend, right? Like if we're all friends, then
Sure.
it's going to be easy to be like, hey, you two should get along too. And Qatar is one of the main players in that, like right, like Netanyahu and Qatar both funded Hamas a lot when they were first being propped up. So Qatar has a lot to play in that whole situation. So if you can get Qatar to be more normalized with us, maybe that helps us build that bridge. The biggest thing that kind of warrants for me is like or warrants like suspicion for me is the jet. Like this happens right after Trump was given a jet. And it's like, is this like quid pro quo? Like what
Right.
we're doing? It just seems like a bribe almost.
Yeah, so I definitely agree with you. I've seen more people upset on the right. It seems, I mean, it's not really surprising. The right is not very thrilled with Arab people right now, the Middle East, and
Yeah.
Muslims in general, I would say. And so anything to do with them right now, I think is going to be a hot button issue for the conservatives. And spinning off on that, you talking about us needing more friends in the Middle East. I agree. However, I don't know. It's hard because we know that a lot of the countries, and when I say countries, I mean like leadership. I'm not talking about the lay person. I don't know how they feel about America or what. I don't know. Any individual might feel any type of way, but we know that a lot of these governments are adversarial towards the West, do not like us, would like to see us destroyed. And so it's hard to imagine us just becoming buddy buddy with most of the countries in the Middle East, just because um, they're not big fans of the way that we do things. They're not big fans of Christianity. They're not big fans of democracy. They're not big fans of a lot of the stuff that we do here. If
A lot
those
of them are more
relations,
westernized, and we've had like pretty strong deals with a lot of them, right? Like we just signed the Abraham Accords. That was with the Saudis mainly. We just had the Iranian nuclear deal with Iran. That's right there. We now have a military base with Qatar. So a lot of the players in the region we've already built some normalization with. So I don't think it's
yeah,
far
yeah, I think
fetched.
there's definitely some bridges being made. It's just historically speaking, it's just it's hard for me to have hope that it's going to all work out and there's not going to be any more fighting between us. Because I mean, on our part, I mean, think of what we've done to the Middle East section of the world. How many times we've destabilized governments, come in and killed people, warred with these countries. It's just there's a lot of bad blood, and so it's always difficult to imagine like all of that going away. Um, of course, I support it and want that to be the case. And so, if this partnership of having Qatar training here and stuff helps us legitimize a peaceful like relationship with them and other countries, then of course I'm all for it if it serves peace and protection. But I would just be concerned, like you said, about the ethics and security risks and all of that type of stuff. But um, I'm not a
Yeah.
geopolitical expert, so
Yeah, I actually like what it signals, and I think we should kind of just to the overarching point. I think we should do more things like that because it kind of signals like with the Iran nuclear deal as well, kind of tying into this, is that was like a big move like over the head of Israel. Like Israel really didn't want us to do the Iranian nuclear deal, and the fact that Obama did that anyway was like really like over Israel's head, right?
sure,
And so here with this, Israel also would feel the same about Qatar. I don't think they're as strongly like, publicly against it or whatever. But doing something like this could be seen as like, hey, like regardless of what Israel thinks, we're willing to normalize with you. And I think that helps build that bridge where a lot of these countries probably think, well, why would we normalize with America where when at the end of the day, they're going to side with our enemy every time. Where this kind of shows like, hey, there's situations where, we will make a deal with like if you're willing to work with us, we'll work with you
right.
regardless of, your relationship with Israel. So I think that kind of helps build the bridges.
Yeah, and just the last thing I want to touch on is I do think there's something to be said about like I don't know exactly where in Idaho they're doing this and like how close it is to like neighboring towns or cities or whatever or civilians, but I think there's something to be said about civilians having some level of say about like a foreign military activity on in their neighborhoods and like where they're growing up and their kids go to school and all that. Like I would definitely want it. I'm not very familiar with Idaho's population centers. I don't know if there's big swaths of desert and open terrain or whatever, but if if it's like far away from all the happenings, then I think that that's preferable just because I don't think we should just trample on like right down the street from my local gym is just this giant, and there's like all these SWAT people and guards outside, and like you don't want to disrupt uh,
Yeah.
the neighborhood. So hopefully they pick a location that's a little far off. But
Yeah,
yeah.
if they're moving into like I think they're moving into what was already a base, so
Oh, okay, okay.
hopefully that would be a
They're just
way.
repurposing then.
Yeah,
Cool.
so but I don't know like the landscape either. That is a really good point. The last thing I would say, the last concern would be like environmental effects. Trump
Hmm.
is going to have no care about any of that, so I could see it being like a big just blowing coal gas and stuff into the air, So that's the other
Yeah.
worry that I would have. But yeah, if you didn't have anything else on that, we can move on to the debate.
Yeah. Let's hash it out, teacher's pet.
Cool. Yes. Yes. So I guess for people, I mean, we usually, I think, do better in terms of we have like a very strict prompt. We didn't really, I don't, but like we debate enough now that I don't think that's as necessary either. But it's mostly just like, is homework beneficial? I took it more as like, through like an academic lens, also just through like things that like can help you. Swal, obviously you can take it through whatever lens you want. To lay out my argument, just briefly first, I do have two anecdotes, and then I also have data too. But my son, I work with him every day on homework. Not only do we do homework, I work above his grade level. We do third grade work. He's in first grade. And like this Friday, he's going to get an award for his amazing achievement. He can do like multiplication, like he can work way above his age group. I work in a school. We send home like work, optional work for families to do. And the kids who do that, have their families do that work, it's like night and day with the kids who don't. They're way better when they come at working independently. They need much less help. It just, I think the repetitions can help. And then there's also data to just back this up. There's meta-analysis in 2015 of almost 900 students. It showed benefit in academic achievement. This was on all levels of education in high school, middle school, and elementary. In 2008, there was a meta-analysis. This was 5 studies. This was at the elementary school level. Specifically, it showed that homework linked to better testing scores at the end of a unit. This was in math, in reading, in English, like across the board almost at an elementary level. The specific thing to focus on is that homework is done right, right? And there's research that shows there's 5 hallmarks that makes homework effective, and that's purpose, efficiency, ownership, competency, and aesthetic appeal. The last one just being obviously, like make it fun for the kids, right? And that helps build, if it meets those, homework is shown to build academic motivation, self-regulation. It can build better study habits, time management, self-regulation, and more parental involvement. Obviously, if you have homework, your parents are more likely to help you. That gets them more involved. These things alone, these traits that homework build, aside from the academic performance it's directly linked to, is also linked to better testing scores. The last thing I'll mention is data of college students, over 70,000, over 300 schools, shows that study habits is the highest indicator of college performance, graduating, and academic achievements.
Yeah, so I have obviously a different view on this. I think that homework sucks. I think it's a, I don't know if scam is the word, but I think it's a complete waste for the most part. I think it's insane that kids have to be in school for about 7.5 hours or 7 hours, depending on where they go. And then they also are going to have about 30 minutes of homework per class. So depending on what type of school structure now, a lot of schools have swapped to the whole like block schedule where they have like 4 classes a day rather than 7 periods. But like when I was going to school, I'm sure when you were going to school, it was like 7 periods a day, about 45, 50 minutes. And so if you're in 7 classes and we're going to multiply that times 3, we're looking at 210 minutes of homework. So we're looking at almost two and a half, what is that, 2.5
Three and a half
hours,
hours.
3.5 hours of homework. Now, obviously, some of these classes are going to give you 10, 15 minutes at the end of class to work on them to get a head start. You're going to, might have a study hall or something. So it's not like all of this is going to be done at home. But my concern is with the students' free time, their stress, and their sleep. And so, for instance, 56% of students report homework as their primary stressor. I mean, if you're in any extracurriculars, like if you're at school till let's say 3, school gets out at 3, and you got to stay for choir rehearsal till 5, and then you get off at 5, get picked up, 10-minute drive home or whatever, 15 minutes, you 5:15, get washed up. It's time to start working on homework for maybe 40 minutes, sit down, have dinner, and then after dinner, go straight back to homework, and then that's it. That's your whole evening. But that's only if you're in one extracurricular. If you're doing choir and you want to go to youth group or something too, and you got youth group at like 7, I mean, you're going to be doing homework at 9, 10, 11 p.m., waking up at 5:45 to catch the bus. Other studies are showing that 70% of teens, I'm still talking about high schoolers, aren't getting their 8 hours of sleep. 79% of them aren't even getting 7 hours. They're getting less than that. And so these kids are very sleep deprived. It's saying the studies say that they need actually about 9 hours of sleep. And for almost all of my high school career, I was averaging about 6 hours a night. And so people are sleep deprived. And then I also think that um, a lot of jobs, like so schools to prepare you for the job market and to have career and all that. Most jobs are not going to have homework. It's you clock out at 5 and you drive home and that is it. And you're not, I'm not making drinks at the bar at home and then bringing them in. Like when I'm at home, I'm at home. And so this idea of like preparing them for school or for jobs, it's not even really doing that because that's not how jobs work. You get to clock out, you get to leave and be done with it. So I just feel like we're stunting people's childhoods. They're not having time to hang out with friends, explore activities, extracurriculars because they're worried about homework when they could be doing that during the school day where they should be learning. So those are kind of my initial
Sure. So
arguments.
okay, yeah, good. So I just took a couple notes because I want to reply to the different kind of parts of that. The first
Sure.
thing seemed more like an argument against too much homework. I would agree too much homework is bad. Most schools aren't going to give you 30 minutes of homework for each class. I don't know where you get that idea from. Most schools aren't even, they are kind of blocked off where you're doing like around three subjects a day. There's actually studies done on this as well that homework up to 90 minutes a day, 90 minutes seems to be about the limit where homework is diminishing returns after that point. So I would say that your argument is just for too much homework, which I would agree with you. It's not an argument against homework itself, because I would say that homework under 90 minutes is shown to be beneficial. The last thing you said I thought was really insane. You said school was for the job market. I don't think that's true at all. I think school is for critical thinking, for problem solving, for independence. It's for a lot of the things that also that I linked out for habits like self-regulation, time management. And then that's the other part that I wanted to get into is you were saying about extracurriculars and and this, and you could have your time taken up. Well, I think that that's what childhood development is for. And if you want to do those things and you can, I think that that's perfectly fine. And it teaches you stuff that will be beneficial for the rest of your life. Time management, self-regulation, emotional control. There's studies on this as well that I have an analysis of over 200,000 kids find that those who can meet self-regulation principles, these kind of like time management things, these different principles I've listed out in early school years, if you can get that down in your early school years, it's linked not only with higher academic performance, a higher likelihood to graduate college, but higher social aptitude as an adult and better just overall life outcomes. So I just think even through what you're saying, and you're kind of depicting it as a lot, I think that that's what childhood development is for, and it's linked to better outcomes later on.
Yeah, so the reason I'm talking about a lot is one from my own experiences. That's just how much homework there was, and two, Stanford did a study and found that the highest performing high schools are assigning an average of 3.1 hours a night. So we're talking about you get home at 3 and you're working till dinner, and then after dinner you got to go, shower, take a bath or whatever,
When was
maybe
that
watch
study
it.
from?
I would have to click
I
on
would
where
assume that
it's
that was
from.
like a decade old or more.
Let's see, I can pull it up. Now this is, you are right, it's from 2014. But
Yeah.
of course, I'm talking about my experiences. This is when I would have been in high school too. Would have been in 2014. So, admittedly, I don't have a kid in high school. I know you have a kid in
Yeah. Not in high
primary
school,
school,
and
but
I don't work at the high school level. I'm K through 8, the school I work in, but
right.
the way we do it is no more than 90 minutes, and this is how most schools do it. They three
But
subjects a day.
this is also to assume that they like know what they're doing. I can speak from mine. It would take me 90 minutes just to do my math worksheet because couldn't do math to save my life. So it also depends on what the assignment is, how much they're struggling with it, and
Sure, but
maybe.
that's part of time management though, isn't it? Wouldn't that be an important skill to learn? Would be how to manage your time to get
Well,
things.
it's not time. There's no amount of time management skills that can help you just know something you don't know.
Well, if you know it's
So
going to take you longer to do, then it would be managing your time to where you have the ability to take the time you need to get it done.
yeah, but you can't manage your time. You don't get to manage your time as a child. You are on adult time. You have to be in school 7 hours, so you don't
Mhm.
have those 7 hours that you can play with. If
You
your
get
parents
ton
signed you up
Are
for
you
piano
saying that kids
lessons,
get no free time?
I mean, their free time is scheduled by the adults, so not really. Like they decide when you got to sit down and do your homework from at 3. They will decide that for you. I mean, not every parent is going to, but
Yeah.
hypothetically, they
I
can
don't
do that.
know if I agree with that, and I would say if anything, now what you're detailing is bad parenting. If you have a kid that you know has to get their homework done, and you're like signing them up for piano lessons and this to where they have no free time after they get off of school, I think you're a bad parent at that point. And
Well, that's what I'm saying
you're
is
doing
you
it
can't
without even
sign them.
asking your kid what they want. Does that sound like a good parent
Well,
to
sure.
you?
I'm saying
That sounds like an insane parent
well, obviously they would say
speaking
like, "Oh, I want to play soccer or whatever," and you sign them up.
like
Like, I'm not
against
saying
your
you
kid's
force them.
wishes.
No. I'm not saying you force them. I'm saying they
You
tell you
just
they.
said your free time is scheduled by the parents. Well, no, that's the kid choosing, right? And I would think that then you should
Yeah,
write
but
that
the
in,
parent gets to decide, no, you're not doing soccer, or yes, I'm signing you
right?
up. So it's
And I
like it's
think
still in the ultimately in the parents' hands. But
all
that's
of that should be
sort of a
weighed in.
non
It's
sequitur.
Well, it's
What?
something the kid should learn to consider, right? He should also weigh that into his decision making of if he wants to play soccer. Well, do I have the time to still get my homework done? You would agree that's an
Yes,
important skill to understand that, right?
to understand time management, but I'm saying they shouldn't have to make the choice between waste of time work and something that
So
actually
how do
helps
how do they learn time management?
through. What do you mean? Through their day. I mean, they have, if you're doing it all during school, then you can, decide I'm going to work on math first so that I can do, uh, so I have enough time to do my English assignment. Like if you have, let's say we have a 2 hour
Why would
work
they do
period at the
homework
end
at
of the
wait,
day.
why would they do that at school? Why would you spend school is for guided instruction, right? And it's to probe critical thinking. So you want someone guiding you through this that's like
Yes. And
probe
that's
you
when
to
you should
think
be
about
doing the work so that you have your teacher there to help you. Exactly.
there's a difference between homework and practice, right? And there's like literature on these two things.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
So like practice is like when you're going through something with instruction, like when your teacher it is and like I know like I'm just this is like what they're just labeled as like semantically. Practice is when you're like going through something with your teacher in class and you guys are all working on it together. It's considered you're
Yes.
practicing it.
I mean, you were in school.
And then yeah, homework is what you're scheduled to do in the
Yes. But you
right?
were in school. Uh, Tell me, maybe your school experience was different. Last 15 minutes of class. Okay, tonight you guys are going to do pages 3 and 4, problems 1 through 12, and then
Yes.
problems
Yeah.
30 through 60.
So
You have 15 minutes right now at the end of class to work on it. Start working on it, and then you go finish it at home, obviously. And during that 15 minutes, you can go up and ask the teacher, like, I didn't really get this. Uh,
sure, yes. I think that part
and
of
I'm
time
saying
management,
they
I
should
think
just do that, and that is the work. You just do all of that work, but you have a different
no,
time
because
of.
then you're taking away from the guided instruction, which should be most of what school is.
How
Because
are you taking it away from the
if
guided instruction?
well, if you're giving more time for independent work, then you're taking away from guided instruction. If you're only like if it's 15 minutes, then you're saying the other 6 hours and 45 minutes, obviously lunch and stuff, but that is going to be guided instruction. Well, if you up from 15 minutes of the independent work to well, now we're going to give you 2 hours. Well, that six
Yeah.
hours and 45 minutes becomes 4 hours and 45 minutes, right? You have to take that time from somewhere. So, and they teach different skills, is what I'm trying to say. Is when the practice, what I'm saying is practice teaches critical thinking, it teaches problem solving, while homework is more for time management, self-regulation, understanding I need to get this done. How do I set myself up for to best do so, right?
Sure, but I mean, essentially, you're just saying you just need to assign kids projects so that they can understand that they have due dates and all of that stuff, and that there's times when things are due. But you can do that without having homework. You can do that in the house. You
A
can say,
project that you do at home would be homework. That's just changing the name.
no. I mean, I meant like
If you
we're
think
going
homework
to.
should be fun,
So
I agree.
no. I mean, like we're going to. I'm just making something up, but we're going to uh paint the bedroom or whatever. I'm not talking about like work as in like schoolwork. I
You
just
mean like
mean,
parent led?
yes. I mean like stuff in the home. Like you can assign due dates and cutoffs for home chore tasks, type of things that you would do as a family. You can make
Yeah,
those things
so
up.
all you're
Um,
doing there, all you're gonna do there is you're gonna remove a bit of the benefit that you're seeing from doing this with homework, where you're getting these skills and you're also getting reps on your academic instruction too. So you're also like getting practice with your like with math, with reading, with English, while you're also setting up time management. So that's why it's
well,
making
no, because
like
remember, you're in my version, you're still doing the reps. You're just doing them at school where you're supposed to be doing school. But I wanted to touch on, you said that school is not for the job market. That's just objectively false. We based our school system off the Prussian education reforms of the 18th and 19th centuries, which they
yeah,
explicitly
okay. If
did
you're
to
talking
produce
about
disciplined,
when
obedient
if you're talking
workers.
about 2 centuries ago, yes, when
That's why we
school was
created
invented,
public
yes,
school. So
yes,
that is
school
the
has the
purpose of
concept of
public school.
schooling has expanded since then, and it's a lot more about probing critical thinking. It's about probing problem solving. It's not about you're going to come in here and then you're going to come out
I
and
mean, I think they use that flowery language, but I think in practice, no. It's just about you got to fit into this systemized thing. If you don't fit in, sorry, that sucks. You're gonna fail, and you're
Yeah, I
gonna
disagree with
have
you, and
low
that's
self-esteem and have problems because you're gonna hate yourself
I
for not being
disagree
a
with
good
you,
student.
and that's why like most institutions don't even agree with like standardized testing anymore. Like if you go to like I work at a charter school, right, and we don't do standardized testing, and that's how it is for most charter schools. And like standardized testing is
Yeah,
more than
standardized testing's trash.
what'd you say?
I said, yeah, it's trash. Standardized testing, yeah, it's
Yeah,
trash.
yeah. So that and it's that's not like the norm that's accepted in education anymore. More people are understanding this whole like no child left behind type of mentality with education isn't the right way to go. The whole like, testing scores is everything isn't really that is, I think, inducive of creating workers, right? But that's
Yes.
not what school should be for. It's for
No, I
teaching
agree.
you
That's
how
not what
to
it should
see a
be for.
problem, teaching you how to look at something you don't know how to do, that you don't understand, and then go from that to getting yourself to a position where you can solve it through critical thinking, through context, through things you may have learned in the past.
Yeah, and this might just be my own perceptions and whatnot, but like, I don't think that that's. I think that's probably something that you can increase in skill, but I think that that's sort of a fundamental. We are problem solving machines. Like that, I don't think you teach people how to problem solve. I think we know how to problem solve. That is how we figure out how to walk and crawl and speak and
Yeah,
do
no,
all the things that we
yeah,
do.
no.
Now, obviously, people are better at it than other people, but I think this idea of like, I mean, like that's how we
I
got
think
here,
your
how we
ability
figured
to
out all the sciences, all the maths, how we discovered things. Is we look and we go, oh, what is this? And we take it
yeah,
apart,
because
and
people who
that's how
could
our
problem
brains
solve did
work.
that, but that's not how everyone. And I think your ability to
Everyone
problem
has a low
solve,
level, is what I'm saying. That's just inherent to us.
yeah, everyone to problem solve, your ability to problem solve is hinged on your critical thinking, right? And critical thinking is absolutely a skill. It's something that can be taught, and it's something that if you
I
don't,
think it could be increased, but like I said, I think it's fundamental. But I'm curious what you think about the almost 60% of students saying it's the biggest stressor. Just fuck them, or what's your thoughts on that?
I think that stress is normal to human life, and that again, these are things that are important to learn how to deal with in childhood development because they're going to have much bigger effects when you get to be an adult, right? If you live a perfect life for 18 years and you're never stressed, and then the first time you're stressed is when you're working a job and you have a child that you're caring for and your bills are due, and now the stress is too much. Well, that's going to have a dramatically bigger impact than you being a little stressed about homework when you're 12 because you want to go play basketball with your friends.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking about just a little stressed. I'm talking about lack of sleep and weight loss and self esteem issues and all of these
I
effects
don't
that we
think
see.
60% of kids are like losing weight like I think that's just assigning a lot of insane things to just stress, right? Like I'm stressed, I have anxiety, I have generalized anxiety, so I'm always stressed, but I'm not losing weight, right? And I sleep about average. I mean, I sleep probably a little less than average, but like I sleep the same consistently every night. So it's like stress doesn't immediately mean you're losing weight and all of this, right?
No, I mean it doesn't. I'm just saying that those are some of the effects that we have seen, and I'm wondering if that's of concern to you. If obviously you've already said that you think that we should only have a small amount of homework, um, but yeah, I mean, what do you think about the all the homeschool families who get all of the subjects done in 2.5 hours during the day? And why are our kids spending 7 hours doing the same amount of work?
Well, first off, homeschooling across the board. A
I
lot
mean,
of
across the board, statistically, they outperform everybody in public school. So I don't know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
Very true. Like,
no,
it's not even
it's not.
close.
That's not true. It's
It's
not
not
true.
even
I
close.
don't think you could show me any peer-reviewed literature that backs that up. But no, homeschool kids also lose a lot of the other things that are gained in schooling, like their social abilities are a lot of the times hindered. Their communication and things like that. Their emotional regulation a lot of the times is hindered from homeschool. So there's a lot more you get. And then also, if you're working just with one kid, one teacher, obviously you're going to get through things a lot faster when you're in a classroom. You're guiding 20 kids through a lesson, and you're trying to get them all on the same page. So that's also obviously just going to take longer.
So the homeschoolers score 72 points higher on SATs than public school kids. The College Board data found that it was 67 points higher for critical reading and
Yeah, I
math,
mean, I'm happy to have this
15 to 30
debate.
percentile points.
I'm happy to have this debate if you want, but I don't
And
like
and
any randomly read off statistics because like statistics is about peer review and it's about
yes,
replication. And I don't know if
sure,
any of those are peer reviewed and I don't know if any of those are replicated. But I'm
sure,
happy to
sure.
debate that if you want.
Yeah. And with these things, we can always obviously enter into a hypothetical of if the things I'm telling you are correct, then do you concede that your point is wrong? And so you don't really need to verify the stat. You just need to be able to be willing to say, if that's the case,
Yes,
well,
in
then
the same
yes.
way, yes, in the same way that in a hypothetical that none of that is true, that you would say your
Yes.
position is wrong.
Yes.
Like, yes.
Yeah. But if that is the case, then would you have more concerns about
Well,
the seven
no,
hours of
no,
school?
no.
Why?
Because of what I just said, a school is guiding 20 kids through a lesson, and then you're also getting
Yeah. I'm saying that's part of the
you're getting a
problem.
lot of skills from school that homeschool doesn't get, like social skills, emotion
Oh, but yeah,
regulation
well, you cut me
skills.
off before I got there, but they're also found to be better in social situations, better leadership,
Yeah,
self
it's
concept,
just not true.
maturity,
It's just not true.
uh, and they have more natural socialization
It's just not true.
because, uh, again, but I'm saying if that is the case,
I'm sure
then would you be concerned?
if they were better, I'm sure they would be better, but they're not. And I'm happy to
So
debate
you
that
would
if
be
you'd like me.
you would be concerned then about the 7 hours if that was the case.
No.
Why?
What do you mean?
If it's the case that homeschool kids are destroying them on every stat with 2.5 hours versus 7 hours, do you think we should take a second look at the 7 hours?
No. I don't think that a public
Okay.
school would function
Okay.
in the way that an individualized one person with their parents would.
Well, most of these people, homeschool people are obviously a lot of like tratty people. They got like 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. But either way,
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think I'm happy to debate that next week because that's an insane claim to make. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Are you a fan of homework? Are you against homework? You know, are you a teacher's pet? Are you not a teacher's pet? I guess. Do you think there's benefit there? Do you think it'd be better maybe if they did it at class? What are your guys' thoughts? I'm curious because it seems to be a lot of disagreement among people that I see. So let us know definitely what you think. If you enjoyed the episode, we're here every Wednesday. So whatever platform you're listening on, if you're on Spotify, if you're on YouTube, if you're on the website, just make sure you subscribe, you add us to our playlist. Because every week, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're here hashing out issues, talking about cultural, social, and political topics. And until next time, peace.